This is Dance Studio 411, where we answer your real life questions about your toughest studio life predicaments, parent problems, teacher turnover, student challenges, policy dilemmas, and so much more. Let's talk about what's keeping you awake at night and what you can do about it. Here are your hosts, Suzanne Blake Gerety and Jill Tirone.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of our Dance Studio 411 podcast. I'm Jill Tirone, and I'm super excited to be here with my friend and colleague, Suzanne Blake Gerety. Suzanne, welcome.
Well, thanks for having me. This is a great opportunity to share some, I hope, nuggets that support our listeners along the dance studio journey.
Yeah, we did this training with our members, and it's so great that I really want to bring it out and pull out these nuggets, these key things that you talked about. And what we're talking about today is really leading with heart when loyalty is not guaranteed. Because as we know, students are going to come and go and families are going to come and go, and it's really difficult. And Suzanne, you really get to the heart of it today so that our studio owner listeners can really manage their own selves and their faculty and their studios really well through times of change and growth. So let's dive right in. I'm going to let you take it over and let's get this conversation started.
Yeah, this topic is near and dear to my heart for a couple of reasons. The first is, I've grown up in the dance industry. My mom owned a studio for nearly 50 years, and I've been through the ups and downs, ins and outs. Also now in my role here at Revolution with Jill and team is, customer loyalty is very personal in the dance business. And so what I want to acknowledge is how much you pour your heart and soul into your dance studio, from your students and families to the staff. And then sometimes they leave. And when they leave, it's pretty heartbreaking for some moments. Some of these people, decades of time. And so I want to really acknowledge how personal the dance industry is. And yet I don't want anyone listening to become someone whose heart is hardened and is just cold and going through the motions, because I've seen the effects of the sad burnout that can come from this. So actually all of what we're sharing today should empower you to actually lead with your heart more, even when we know the loyalty isn't guaranteed.
Absolutely. Let's dive right in.
I love it. Yeah. We're going to go over 3 keys to keeping your passion for dance alive and keeping your heart in the business, which I'm excited about. And so if you're listening to this podcast, you might want to pause, reflect, have a journal. Maybe you'll just think about it on your walk, or hopefully you're taking a walk, or maybe you're at home doing something, but here goes. So I want to also start off by saying that we are talking about the emotional and relational side of customer loyalty today. Not necessarily what we call like a programmatic or transactional loyalty, which is a future topic. That's the stuff about, family discounts or priority registration or the economics of loyalty. We're not into that today. We're talking about, I stay at this dance studio. They align with who I believe to be true for my child or myself. And it's that identity, belonging, trust, values, the emotional side of loyalty, which is a little more messy, but a little more exciting.
It's that feeling.
Exactly. And so let's start off with a real humdinger, as I say, which is customers are loyal until they're not. Let me repeat that. Customers are loyal until they're not. And sometimes the till they're not really hits you sideways, and it comes at the worst time, and it's often messy, and it usually comes with drama. You could insert staff are loyal until they're not. All of it to say, you are not alone. So let me also recap by saying your own studio competitor down the street is dealing with this same reality. Same with the studio across the state, around the corner, across the world. This is true for all customers. And so when it comes to leading with heart, when loyalty isn't guaranteed, this is going to sound possibly something you've heard before, but I really want you to listen freshly this time. You've got to embody your why. Your mission and vision has got to be bigger and stronger than any one family or staff member leaving could harm your business. Embodying your why is different than just looking at the words on the wall. It's the stuff you are going to fight for when it gets real hard.
And I think too, you want to live your why every day when you walk into that studio, because that will empower your faculty. That will create a sense of belonging for your customers and your faculty and staff. So yeah, really looking at the why. And maybe it's time to look at your mission and vision. And is it time to dust it off? And you mentioned, and when we did our training, has it evolved?
Yes, I really want to give you permission to evolve your why. We are not the same people we were a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Sometimes studio owners go through all kinds of angst because they're trying to be the studio owner they were 10 years ago. Give yourself permission to actually evolve that, which is so important. And so there is a quote that I love, and we can put it in the notes. It's by Harold Kushner, sometimes attributed to Mother Teresa, which I live by this quote. And if it resonates with you, please, by all means, print it out and look at it. But quote, do things for people not because of who they are, or what they do in return, but because of who you are. I am clear, and having been in the role that I am now at Revolution for over a decade and with you, Jill, is that we get up every day about making passion possible at Revolution. And sometimes that doesn't always look like we get it right. And so what I would say, even the same for a dance studio, when growing up in the studio, we were committed to making dance the highlight of your week. Even if it was one class a week or 5, like, you got to know who you are. So that's my tip for the day.
I think that's great. And sometimes that's a hard question to answer, like, or a hard thing to explain or decide. So again, you mentioned journaling. This might be a great time if you're at your desk, take a pause and start sketching out a little bit of who you are today. What is your why today? Because like you said, it could be very different from where we were just a year ago, 5 years ago, for sure. And depending on how long you've been in business, but we're giving you permission to evolve and figure that out.
Exactly. Well, so my second key when it comes to leading with heart when loyalty isn't guaranteed is that a great dance studio doesn't just build dancers, it builds their wings. So loyalty doesn't always mean staying at your studio. Sometimes it means growing beyond your studio walls. And we're going to get into some specifics here because this can somewhat be confronting for people who are like, well, wait a second, why would I ever want to encourage a dancer to leave my studio? That seems counterintuitive to retention, but I'm here to share that actually it's counterintuitive, but it's actually an extraordinary access to your growth. And I know this from having lived in a highly successful studio for my whole life, is that we often talk so much about retention, but what if our calling is to prepare our dancers for opportunities we can't provide? This can be beyond just dance. It could be about who they're going to become as an athlete, as an artist, as an actor, singer, STEM, science, all of the above, leader. And so success isn't just who stays, but who leaves your studio more confident because of you. So I want you to just really meditate on that a minute, is that we can consider ourselves successful even when students move on.
So I love that. And that's the fact that you're bringing this to our attention and calling it out and saying it out loud is really important. At some point, there are dancers that are meant to blossom or grow or be in a different environment. And that's okay because they're going to treasure the time that they had with you.
Yeah. And so, but don't leave me now, everyone listening. I have 3 ways you can approach this that actually it is so powerful when you listen to this with fresh eyes. I want you to hear this with a new ears. Okay. So because parents today of their students, they are looking for their child's success. All parents want is their child to be happy and successful. Quite frankly, that's it. Healthy, happy, successful. What does that look like? That looks like a lot of different things for a lot of different people. So here are 3 things within this context you can do. The first is that I encourage you to start to create a culture of being a talent spotter and a potential spot, not just current talent, but potential. This is where I doubt you can physically be in every dance class, or if you are currently the teacher of all of your classes, at some point you will grow beyond that and you will add more people. So creating a culture of talent spotters and passion finders and potential seekers, this means sitting your staff down and say, okay, here's what we're gonna say looks like potential at our studio, to whether it's moving up a level, trying a new dance style, inviting them to a performance team or a competitive team, identifying them as someone who you think would be better off trying this differently, different training, having a growth spurt. So creating a culture that listens for their students' greatness, excellence, potential, and passion is so key. And I'm talking about potential, everyone, readiness. This is when you talk about not everyone is ready for the next level on that day, but you have to give them a pathway to get to that next level. So, how do you do that? Next part of this, you've got to create experiences to push people outside of their comfort zone. Jill, we will fall to our comfort. Human beings will go to the place where they're successful, which is their comfort zone every time, over being an absolute beginner, trying something harder. So how are you going to do this? You have to create an environment where you can bring people up to the next challenge. That could be something that's like a new competition, a new convention, a destination event, try another dance style. They don't have to commit to it, but get them outside of comfort zones. I'm not talking about risking injury. I'm not talking about, you have to kind of know enough to know what the next step is. That's not what I'm doing here, but I'm encouraging you. Yeah.
Perfect. Yes. I love that. And then you have a third part to this key, second key. So what's the third part to this?
Yeah. So the last part of this, when you're talking about encouraging dancers to go beyond your walls, is referring dancers to outside training that you cannot provide. That could be something really big, a residential 3-week intensive, Boston Ballet. Maybe it's going to apply to an audition type summer intensive. It's helping parents understand the pathway of how they might even afford to pay for that. It's giving them some information that helps them see, what if your student is interested in studying this in college and beyond? How can you create a career out of this? A lot of people have misunderstandings. And so it's your opportunity to demonstrate, this is where the magic happens, everybody. Parents will see you and their loyalty grows when they know that you have their dancer's best interest at heart, even if it means leaving your studio. Okay? That's the takeaway.
Absolutely. I think that's just such a good perspective, and really looking at how you're creating not just dancers into the world, but really just amazing humans into the world. Yeah.
Exactly. So my last key about leading with heart when loyalty isn't guaranteed is to work harder on yourself than you even do on your business. Okay. This is often attributed to the famous Jim Rohn. Work harder on yourself than your business. A lot of people are putting tons of money and time into business training, and I think that's great. But actually, if you look at where the real magic happens to navigate what I call business loyalty storms, the ups and downs of the coming and going, because no customer or staff member is worth the price of losing your physical, mental, emotional, or financial health. Let me repeat, there is no cut. You can be sad. You can have your moment. You can have you should ride the emotional wave. You can refer to my change management training. Yes, feel all of the emotions of this. And then you've got to work harder on yourself. What does that look like? Staying grounded, putting yourself first. I can speak from experience, having not done it this way, that it's not successful. I have lost my hair. I have lost my health. I have lost sleep. I have lost very special holidays over managing dance moms. I can tell you it's not worth it if you don't take care of yourself. What does that look like? That might look differently for you than it does for me, but find something. Confidence does not happen on its own. If anything, left to your own devices, your confidence will get eroded. So what you really need to work on is, what confidence building practice do you need to have in your business? Is it celebrating wins with your staff? Is it finding time to, reflect on why you were successful before and why that's going to serve you moving forward? Is it reminding everybody of, why do we get up every day and work so hard, everyone? That's why. Mm-hmm. And so lastly, Jill, as we wrap, is like purpose and purposefulness in your business cannot wait for a once a year recital or that one competition win. We've got to make ourselves take the time to celebrate all the things that are working along the way. And so I just want to thank you for your time today, and just let everybody know that while all that matters is that you keep your passion for dance alive as you run and grow your business. And we just are here for you. So thank you so much.
Oh, thanks so much for this topic and really putting your heart into this presentation, because I have a feeling that our listeners are really connecting the dots and thinking, ooh, you know what? This is a great key tip that I need to practice, or I need to think on, or there are so many great nuggets in this podcast. So thank you so much, Suzanne, for sharing your expertise and your time and your talent. We love it.
Thanks so much, Jill. I enjoyed this topic very much.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Dance Studio 411. Visit us online at dancestudio411.com for more great resources and to submit a question for a future episode. Our number one goal is to help you build a successful dance studio business and keep your passion for dance alive.